Yes, I do. Thank you, Daniel. And we are recording this for the people who didn't hear my announcement before. If you don't want to be seen on screen, turn off your camera. If you're concerned about your name showing up on screen, you can rename yourself, and that way no one will know you were here except you. Well, me too, but I don't tell anybody. I'm kind of selfish about that kind of information. We do have closed captions available if you'd like a little assistance. If you go to your bottom nav bar and look, there should be something that says live transcript and some kind of a caret that you can click on, and then you can turn on or off the subtitles as you desire. Let's see, we are very happy to be able to make these presentations freely available to everyone who wishes to attend. That said, it still does cost us some amount of money to have Zoom and all that kind of stuff. So if you're not a member, you might consider joining to support us, or just making a small donation to help us. It's not obligatory, and we are happy to have you here anyway, but we certainly appreciate the help if you can provide it. Let me see, because I always forget to do it at the end. Let me see if I can find my list of, no, I can't even find my list of when our next meeting is. So I will try to remember to tell you at the end. But this meeting is April, and we are happy to have Daniel Horowitz of MyHeritage, the genealogy expert there. And he's going to be telling us about researching genealogical databases in Israel from the comfort of your couch at 2 o'clock in the morning in your bunny slippers. Daniel, take it away.
Okay, so thank you very much, Janice, for the invitation.
Wait, I forgot. Please put your questions in chat. We'll take questions at the end.
Yes, please.
We'll go first, and then I'll take live questions as long as we can keep Daniel online. Okay, going away again.
Okay, so yeah, please hold your questions till the end, and thank you very much for the invitation. As Janice was saying, I am the expert genealogist at MyHeritage, and I'm working for that company since 2006. But I am dedicated to genealogy since 1986, so a little bit before that. My specialty on Israel research became probably since 2005 when I came to live in this country, and I started to do a little bit of research on my Israeli family, and I met with people here in Israel. Then I learned about the records and the archives, and immediately almost I started volunteering for the Israel Genealogy Research Association. So first of all, just to give you an idea, we're talking about the land of Israel, which is kind of different of the state of Israel. And I'm not going to go into politics today, especially not today when we're starting not only a new month of April, but Muslims are starting their Ramadan. We're about to start Passover. We are having a little bit of troubles here in the country, and not to forget that Christians are going to celebrate very soon Easter. So it is actually an interesting times in this very little country. And just for you to have a proportion of it, and I know that most of you must be from the West Coast, but I know at least one person in the audience is from the state of New Jersey. Israel is actually as big as the state of New Jersey. And that is, I understand, a small state in the US. Capital is Jerusalem, which means most of the archive and the centralized organizations are there. I don't live in Jerusalem, which means that I need to travel often there in order to be able to do research. But I have also learned that you can do a lot through the internet, and actually it has its benefits besides saving a little bit on gas. And I will show you today about those benefits, which will include how to deal with Hebrew websites. And Hebrew is the official, or one of the two official languages. Actually, Hebrew and Arabic are the official languages of Israel, but most people here also speak English very fluent. Okay, and the first website that I'm going to start with is the one that I'm volunteering my time for, is the Israel Genealogy Research Association. And this is kind of the new website that we have developed. We made it dual language, English and Hebrew. And you can see over there a calendar of events. We just finished a webinar that we had over there about German research, and you can go visit, learn about the new things that we're posting, articles, webinars, lectures, etc. But today's subject is genealogy research, and the key word for any research should be the word database, and you will find it right there on the top. And whenever you click over there, you will get to the actual database or search engine of the society website. One of the things the societies keep doing almost on a monthly basis is adding more and more records. You can see that today the count is 2.3 million records. And I can tell you already that we have about 30 to 40,000 records a month waiting in line for the rest of the year. So you can be sure that new records are coming very soon. The website or the search engine is very easy. You can manage or navigate it both English or Hebrew, depending what is your preference. There is almost no difference on the search. You will see that I am just going to do a search in English, and you can choose not only an exact but phonetic matches as well, and you will get the results. Now, if you will search with a Hebrew word, you will get exactly the same window and the same results, because we have divided the page into Hebrew and English, so everybody will be able to find their relatives over there. Of course, that you can also add a first name or a given name, and you can also use the filters that we have on the right side of the screen. And over there, you will be able to do or to sort and filter by record types, if you know a specific type of record, or if you want by other surnames mentioned in the records, given names, localities, record years. We also have a filter for country, because you may be looking for people coming from a different country, and the record reflected that. So we wanted to give you the opportunity. Or sometimes in Israel, we find records that are here, but they belong to totally a different area. For example, lately we have been scanning material from Greece that it's available here in Israel. We have a very nice project going on with the Alliance from France and the Morocco Alliance that send to an archive here in Israel the ledgers of the schools. So if your family actually was studying over there, you may find records here. We have a lot of records from Poland as well. Another collection that I was involved is passports that were given back when people came to Israel after the war, and they have to surrender their passports. Now, you will notice also that, that on the left side of the screen, you will have a button that says detail. So let me be very clear. You will need to register to IGRA in order to search, and you will see just up till here with no problem. The details are reserved only for paying members. And membership is quite inexpensive, but again, it's money that we use to make sure that the website runs accurately and that we have the technology that we need to provide you with records. The good thing is that we will try to index or transcribe most of the information, and whenever possible, we will give you also the option to see the image and to download that image to your computer as well. What else you will find here? Well, if you go to the very bottom of this list, you will see that we have a partnership with Logan Kleinworks. And he is the master of a website called Genealogy Indexer. What Logan is doing basically is taking books from all around the world, applying OCR, optical character recognition, and then he published that index or that text, a searchable text in his website. So what we have done here is a partnership that whatever name you are searching for, it will be searched also on his website, and we will point you to interesting books that he has over there, like, for example, the 1932 Palestine Directory Handbook. Now, remember that at the first slide, I mentioned the land of Israel. Well, the land of Israel was used to call Palestine before 1948. So a lot of the information that you should be finding for your relatives, if they were here in Israel before May 15, 1948, will be related to the word Palestine. So take that into account. And I will mention this one more time in a few minutes with another example that I have for you. Now, the other place or the second place that I must mention is, of course, the MyHeritage website, because although MyHeritage is an Israeli company and we are really collecting records from all over the world, we have what I called our Jewish heart, and we also try to keep a lot of records and a lot of interest in Israeli and Jewish records. So I'm going to go straight to the collection catalog, and you can get there if you go on the research and you see the second option, collection catalog, and they will bring you here to the list of all the collections that MyHeritage has. And you can sort them by the number of records or the latest update. So you can always know what was the last collection that was released by MyHeritage. A few tricks that I have for you here. The first one is the search engine for the collections, not for the names. And just applying a 3-word letter, the word Jew, it will bring up all the collections that are related to Jews, not only in Israel, but around the world. And those collections may not look like collections dedicated to Jews, but depending on the title or depending on the description, you will be driven to the right collection of your interest. Now, Israel, you could use that as a word also in the search engine, but it's easier if you just go on the left side, wherever you can filter by the different collections or location, and you point out into the Asia continent. And yes, Israel, although we would love to be a European country, we are located in Asia. And when you do that, then you can refine further and you can see all the Asian countries. And right there on the I section, you will see Israel. And at the moment, only 4 collections, but this is kind of misleading because those are collections that are 100% cataloged as Israel collections. You can see that IGRA, or the Israel Genealogy Research Association, shares an index with MyHeritage, but also we have Avelim, which is a big obituary website. In Israel, we have a phone directory from 1944, which again will not be Israel, will be Palestine. And then remember, talking about Palestine, we have a very nice collection called the Mandatory Palestine Naturalization Applications. But these are not the only collections that we have about Israel. So let's go and give you a tip. And this is something that was not included in your handout that I know for sure. This URL is a URL that will get you straight to research all the collections in Israel. I don't know how handy may be for you, but you can just complete this URL from the catalog. The catalog will have, I think, up to research, and then you go category minus Israel / word Israel again. And once here, you can just type whatever name you want, and just for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to use the most Jewish, possible Jewish name, Moshe Cohen, and I'm using Moshe on purpose and not Moses, which will be the English spelling, and I will tell you something else about this further on. And then you will see the results that are all related to Israel. Now, you will see here that according to the categories for those records, you may find, for example, things from the census. And I do know that a lot of you are very busy since last weekend when the US, a couple of days actually, yes, this weekend, you're still in the weekend, I'm already on a weekday for me. I work today. Everybody's looking in the 1950 census, which has not been quite indexed yet, more or less if you take the index done by the National Archive. But censuses, if somebody will mention that he was born in Israel, that will be enough in order to bring you this result. Now, if you don't want to go into that page that I gave you, it's actually very easy. All you need to do is to add here the place, Israel, and that will make that word to that place also searchable. You will find information here from other family trees and newspapers and all kind of other places. Now, let's go one by one through the collections. And this is the obituaries in Israel Avelim that I mentioned before. And you may ask, how come MyHeritage gives me results for somebody from an obituary in Israel, of course, written in Hebrew, if I look for a person in English? And yes, a couple more of slides and I will reveal the secret for that. But yes, that is what we do. You search in your language, we bring you the records, and this collection will have a lot of information because it's obituaries of people not only that died recently, but also whenever we're commemorating a year passing from the person, the Yurtzeit, as we say in Yiddish, people put announcements over there as well. So that collection may be useful for you. If your family were here from 1944, well, we have those records also digitized and transcribed. Interestingly, you need to understand that in 44, there was not a lot of phone numbers here in Israel. Actually, phone numbers had 4 digits, just for you to figure out about it. So only if your family was like very important person here, and yes, everybody here is a very important person. We all know that, but a more special person will have a phone actually in 44. And then probably the best collection, my preference for sure, regarding Israel is the Palestine naturalization applications, because this is the paperwork that whoever was living here between 37 and 47, and if you don't remember, that means British mandate, had to submit in order to become legally naturalized person. Now, one example that I have for you here is Shimel Persky, or probably better known as Shimon Peres. He came into the country before 37, and he had to submit all his paperwork. And as I'm saying, this is not just one document. This is the whole folder with all the information, with all the paperwork. And because we're talking about British mandate, people submitted this in dual language, both in English and in Hebrew. And you can see that some of the paperwork was also officially filled or at least presented in Arabic. Okay, so if your family were here between those years, chances are that you will find them in this collection. More than that, MyHeritage not only transcribe or index the name of the submitter, every person had to have 2 witnesses. And sometimes those witnesses were here even before that, or they didn't want to naturalize. Maybe some of your relatives were witnesses for somebody else, and you may find them over there. Now, let me keep going on and clarifying a little bit of what's going on here. Remember, I said the 4 collections is a little bit misleading. Well, the reason for that is because we have one very important collection in Israel that is not classified as Israel. This is a worldwide collection, and it's called Billion Graves. And this collection is important in Israel because MyHeritage took the task to actually photograph and index all the tombstones in Israel since 2016, and it took 3.5 years till 2019 when we finished photographing, indexing, transcribing, and making all those stones available. So if your family is buried here in Israel, there is a 99.99 chances that we will have their stones photographed and available on the website. Now, where is the catch? Well, you can also go to Billion Graves and you can search over there, but you will need to know the exact language and spelling of the name of that person. While on MyHeritage, as I already give you a hint, you can write the name of the person in any language and you will get the right record even in Hebrew. Why is that? Well, because technology that MyHeritage has behind the scenes is the global name translation. And in here, we will take whatever name you're typing and we will translate it into Greek, Hebrew, Russian, and Ukrainian. And of course, taking account also other spelling variations for the same name, and we will find the record. So you can write, for example, in your own language, as I'm showing you here, the name Alexander, and I'm using even Tel Aviv to be more specific if I know that the person is actually buried over there. And MyHeritage is finding results in Hebrew, and it's back translating those names. So I will understand what it's written here in Hebrew, and I will know if this is actually the person that I am looking for. Okay. And we will do that automatically with any collection and any records, Ukrainian, Russian, Greek, you name it, we will have it. By the way, if you have a family tree on MyHeritage and you get record matches, that technology applies also over there. I don't know how many times I said it already. Unfortunately, it is kind of a year since we started this project. And it's a massive project about to be finished. It's the Israel Immigration Database, meaning all the list of people that came into the ships before and a little bit after 48. Now, not only immigrants, but also a lot of people came in those ships as tourists. So maybe your family just passed through Israel, came to visit and went back. They may be there, and we're talking about 1.5 million records in total that very soon we are going to release. And I really hope, in my personal case, that I will be able to find my great-grandfather that came to Israel in 48, and till today I have not been able to find his immigration record. Another collection that we have been working also for quite some time is the Yalkut HaPirsumim, and this is kind of the National Gazette, meaning every business, every government decision, every important thing that happened in Israel was published here. And remember this, because I will give you a direct link to a search page for this collection, or for this records, better said, not for this collection, because this collection is still not available on MyHeritage. I have no idea how that other website actually transcribed the names. I do know that we have transcription of everything over there. Now, take into account that if you had a doctor in the family, that doctor receive a title, a certificate that he can actually be a doctor, his name will appear over there. Lawyers, policemen, nurses, dentists, all those professions that needs a certificate will be there. Name changes. Remember, it's Perez, Shimon Perez that I mentioned before. He actually changed his name, and he appears here with his old name and his new name. And a lot of people change their names when they immigrated to Israel. But we understand that not everybody is as efficient with Hebrew. So I provided to you a few tips regarding the Hebrew alphabet. Yes, the first one, this is actually Hebrew for Genealogy 101. Yes, because Hebrew is written from left to right, on the contrary as English. And in the alphabet, which you have in your screen and also in your handout, you will notice that some letters are actually silent. I have no idea why we have them if we're not going to pronounce them, but yes, they are there. And then it seems that we don't have enough letters. Some of them, like the bet or the vav, actually have more than one sound. And I'm not talking about the B or V. The vav also plays a U or an O. So whenever you're trying to read Hebrew, you need to play a little bit with the sounds and try to go and see how it sounds better. And it really doesn't matter if you pronounce it with an O or with a U, people will understand you. So this will be 101. What happened with 102? And it's also important for genealogy because dates and other numbers are usually written down in letters. Yep. The Aleph is 1, the Bet is 2, Gimel is 3, and then you go until you get to the Yud, which is 10, and then you start jumping into tens. So Kaf is 20, Lamet is 30, Mem is 40, and keep going until Kuf, which is 100, and then Reish, Shin, Tav, the last three are 2, 3, and 400, and that's it. So not only you need to be a good Jew, not only you need to be a genealogist, you also need to be a mathematician. Because what happened with all the numbers that I am missing in the middle? Well, actually, you will need to do a little bit of math to build those numbers. So 14, for example, is built with a Yud and a Dalet. Yud is 10, Dalet is 4, that will be 14, Yud, Dalet. The years are a little bit more complicated because we are in the 5,780 or 82 year in the Hebrew calendar. So we take out the thousands immediately because nobody expects to be living 1,000 years. And then we use the letters to build the other 3 digits missing. 780, for example, will be Tav Shin Pei. And that will be the year. And that will be also what you see in the tombstones, by the way. We always use letters to write down the dates. And then you need to take into account religious, because 15, probably if you don't know a lot, you will put the yud next to the hey, and you will say 10 and 5, that is 15. 16 will be the same, but instead with the hey, it will be with the vav. The only problem is that those combinations of letters are considered sacred because they reflect part of the name of God. So remember mathematicians? Well, 10 and 5, it's exactly the same of 9 and 6. So that is why 15 is written Tet Vav, and 16 is written Tet Zayin. And the end result is still the same, 15 and 16. Then the rest are built exactly the same. Yud, Kav, Kav Aleph, Kav Bet, Kav Gimel, etc. Finally, just for you to know, in your handout are a little bit of words, important words for you to deal with a Hebrew websites, because unfortunately not all the websites are translated into Hebrew. Not only that, but also if you're going to approach an archive, you need to know what are you looking for and what you should be asking for. So you actually want to do a chipus, which is a search, and you should know your Shem Prati and Shem Mishpacha, which is the first given name or first name and last name or surname, the Teudat Zehut, which is the ID number, something that if you have it will open a lot of doors, but you will not see any respectful database showing ID numbers of people and other years, other words, mother, father, spouse, year, date, gender, or a city and country, for example. Now, talking about translation, and I was kind of coming clean. I said before, I really don't read. I could read Hebrew, of course, and I can read the words that I'm telling you now, but I am very lazy. And whenever somebody sends me an email in Hebrew, I will suggest you to do exactly the same I do. And it is to have a tab open with Google Translate. And I have seen improvements on the translation between English and Hebrew. You can use it both ways. If you're going to write a note to any archive or any person in Israel, I will suggest put the translation in their language, meaning in Hebrew, on the top, and then just put the English or the language that you're writing in on the bottom, just to make sure that the person can have the original message. Sometimes, especially with names, the translator does funny things just because that is the translation of the name of the people. Okay, so remember that people are named not only for different reasons, but nature, trees, flowers, and things like that will really sound weird when you use Google Translate. Now, one thing I do a lot when I'm on the road is use my phone, because here I can actually dictate whatever I want to the translator, and the translation will appear right there, and I will be able even to click a button and play that translation. So if I'm talking with somebody, even talking on the phone, it may be useful to use this as a translator for a conversation, although it's better if you can find a person that can actually work for you with the translation. And another feature of the phone, just for you to know if you're deciding to come to Israel and visit us, is to use the image translation. So you can point your phone to any sign and then get a translation. No worries for those of you driving. Road signage is both English and Hebrew, so you don't need to start pointing with the phone while you are driving over there. Okay, so now that you have all the at least guidance on the Hebrew to English and English to Hebrew translations, let's start with the very basics, which is phones. And if you are looking for a phone in Israel, you should go to Bezek, which is the main phone company in Israel. And by law, they have to show you not only those landlines, but also all the cellulars and any other brand phones in Israel. Okay, so it will be one search for everybody. The bad news for you is that the website is only in Hebrew. One solution that I have for you is from my very good friend, Steve Morse. He built one-step tools for many things. One of them is actually working with the Bezek company and the way of translating from English to Hebrew. And if you want the Sephardic pronunciation or the Ashkenazi pronunciation, you will have multiple ways of writing names of people. Remember that I show you in the dictionary that you can write the name, the letters may have different sounds and some letters will have the same sound. So Horowitz has a lot of O's and V's that they can be shown in different ways. And here is the page that Steve Morse has to work directly with Bezek. You need only to put the name of the person over there, and then you can click and get immediately the results that Bezek will give you. If you still want to give it a try, and I will encourage you to actually do it, this is how the page looks. And by the little man over there, you can imagine that this is where you put the name of the person that you're looking for. And let's use my own last name just to see if I can find myself. And there you go. This is how you will see the results on the page. The only problem is that the page is trying to be a little bit secure, so it will not show you the phone numbers until you don't click a couple of times in a couple of places, and then you will see there a message that says display the number, and you can see the number over there. And if you think that this is the person that you're looking for, you can click one more time and you can actually see the map where the person lives. Please excuse me for a second. Okay, I'm back. And the good news also is that there is kind of a pirate website called 441il.com. And this is kind of a reverse search engine for the phone numbers. So if you have a phone number for anybody in the country, you can actually type the phone number, and maybe you have a letter from a relatives or you have an address and a phone number from an old relatives. You can see if he still have that phone, if he's still listed in the phone book. The English translation you can see is not great. but the Hebrew one is quite accurate. This is actually used to be my home phone, and that's my address if you want to visit, and that's my name. Very accurate. And you have an app or kind of a mobile version of this where you can also go in and send a message with the phone, and you will be able to find the person. Now, there is another website that I discovered, and this is the one I wasn't sure if I added on the handout. So please take note of this URL. This is called Phone Index, COIL, and COIL is the ending of all the Israeli websites. And if you know a little bit of Hebrew, or you just do research with your handout on hand, you will find out the word hipush, which is search, and then anashim, which is people, and vektovot, and addresses. And what you can do here is just write the name of the person, as in any search engine expected, and they will bring you all the ones that they found over here with my first name and last name. So there are actually, seems to be, only 9 people named Daniel Horowitz, and right here, you will recognize my address without any problem. Another website that I found very recently, and I was not looking for people, but I found this for other reasons, is ruling.co.il. By the way, notice that even the websites are in Hebrew, the URLs will always be English letters, or in most of the cases, actually. So this website, it's kind of a legal website that will show you all protocols, laws, articles, wills, which is the important thing for us, courts decision, affidavits, and all kind of legal paperwork where your family may be found. And indeed, I looked for Horowitz, and I found a few results. I was actually looking for the publication of the will of my father. So I actually use the words Sydney and Horowitz, and you can see those highlighted in the results. But that is how I found information about a lot of other people. Okay, now remember Yalkuta Pirsumim, okay, the National Gazette or Gazetteer. This is a website called Reshumot that I found out they did OCR, and they have a kind of a transcription or a searchable place for you to search those gazettes. Also interesting for you to know that the Gazette was published even before 48. I think they started in 44, meaning already under the British mandate. And of course, at that time, the Gazettes were 100% in English. But since May 48, they were then translated and written only in Hebrew, which was the official language. But nevertheless, you can come here and you can type the name that you're looking for, and you can actually find mentions of people. Remember, professionals that needed a certificate, people that changed their name over there, or any other important announcement. If your relatives had a company that were registering it, probably they will appear here as well. And one of those things, talking about companies that you find just by mistake, is this very funny name website. Why I'm saying funny name? Because I will read it Piñata, which is a kind of very pictorial thing in Venezuela. We do that like in Mexico, when somebody has a birthday, you fill it with candies and you hit it, and then candies blow all over the place. That is what it's a piñata, but it seems that in Israel, a piñata will tell you information about businesses. And the way I tested and I found it interesting was actually with the name of the company I work for, MyHeritage. And you can see here public information about the company. You can see who owns the company and the address and different other information. So if your relative had a company in Israel, probably they will appear in this website. Now let's go and turn to a little bit more historic archives in Israel. Not only after 48, but even before the Zionist movement is very famous. And there is a Zionist archive in Israel, in Jerusalem, that collects all kind of material related not only to Zionism, but also to immigration to Israel. ZionistArchive.org.il. They actually have a search engine, but their collection is not indexed by the name of the people, but you can still go in and you can see what they have over there, and the different folders and the different documents that they have. You may search by a name and you may find a little bit of probably the most famous people over there. And they also have genealogy databases, and you can see what type of databases. Again, they have the legal immigration, they have the illegal immigration, immigration even before the state of archive, the state of Israel, and the British recruitment army also happened in Israel. So you can actually ask them to research for you on the names. And a lot of databases that they have are indexed and available in the IGRA website as well. If your family is in Israel since many, many years before, well, the Montefiore endowment or the Montefiore censuses may give you leads on your family. Sir Moses Montefiore did censuses in different places of the countries. Was not a national census like what we are used to today. They were only on Jewish settlements, and not every year he did it. He did it in all the settlements. And you have over there the years 1839, 1840, 49, 55, 66, 75. You can search this with no problem in English or Hebrew, and you will find the actual documents and very interesting information. If your relative were living here, were studying here, had properties here, chances are that they appear in these censuses. Now, no matter what, your family should appear one way or the other in the newspapers. And this website, the J Press, is kind of the newspaper archive of Israel. They are trying to put there more and more newspapers from Israel, not only in Hebrew, not only in Arabic, not only in English, all kind of newspapers that were published in Israel since 1860 till today. And you can see that in the middle years, the 1900s and close to 30s and 40s, they were at their peak. And of course, for the most newest ones, you will have already the websites for those newspapers. So this is considered historical newspapers. You can search in English without any problem, and you can actually see the newspaper page. Now, there is another website, and this is also very new. So you should take note of this URL. openu.ac.il, which is the Open University. This is a project from the National Library together with the Open University to make very specific and a few newspapers available. Now, I tried and succeed on searching in English, but I realized that that was only because the newspaper had the information in English. So I will suggest you to do both an English and a Hebrew search, and the results will be different. The same will apply to one of my preferred general websites in Israel. This is the National Archives. And what I'm saying is that although you can browse the page in English, the results of your search in English and in Hebrew are going to be different. Now, you can do, of course, a search here for a first name and a last name, and you will find a lot of things. But for example, remember the immigration records I mentioned MyHeritage is indexing? You will find them here without any problem. If you know the year and you know the name of the ship where your relative came to Israel, you can actually look for the manifest here, but you will not be able to find the manifest or search on that manifest by names because they don't have indexed those names. You will be able just to go over the file, then see the images and just browse and look at everything over there. If we're talking about immigration, illegal immigration is something that was very common. A lot of people tried successfully or not to come to Israel illegally just after the war. And there is an archive and there is a museum that will allow you to search for those people, the ones that they have or the material they have about them. The good thing about this search engine is that when you type the name, they will already perform half of the search. So you know that Horowitz Abraham, for example, they have 2 records and they have 4 records for Horowitz Chaim. And then you can click and you can see the different records and you can go further and see what information they have over there. And they may have some images and they may have more behind those links in the very top part of the page. Another website that I would like to mention is Blood and Frogs from my good friend Philip Stroring. He has here a nice compendium of places and sources for each of those places, not necessarily Jewish research places, but research, genealogy research all over the world. And of course, that if you go to Israel, you will find a list of many, many more, not only websites, but groups and organizations and places where you can actually try and find your relatives. Now, another website that I actually found just by chance, and I decided to title this People or Dogs, because this is the page where dog owners need to register their dogs. And I don't expect you to know the exact number of the plate of the dog of your relative, but if your relatives have a dog, or, and this is what this switch button is doing, you can search either by the name of the person that owns a dog, or you can search for a veterinary. So if you have a relative that it's a veterinary, chances are that he will be listed here. And there is a similar page, by the way, for lawyers and legal advisors, which I am not bringing you here. But the idea of this especially is to open your minds. I'm pretty sure you have never thought finding relatives through animals' permissions or certificates, right? And in this case, you can see, probably not understand, but a lot of information about this guy named Horowitz Daniel, which is not me, I can guarantee you that. including the place, Ishuv, remember from the handout, and telephone, the phone number of the guy, and if you want to know the dog and what type of dog is, you can have it here. But more important, and of course for us, is to be able to find our relatives. And with that, and just with those last two, I hope that I will open your minds to look for not only the usual genealogy websites that we are used to, but to think out of the box. And you know what, just as I did, just use Google and type whatever you're looking or whatever you think. It will help you find your relatives, and hopefully you will find lists and you will find websites. You can use Google as well to translate those websites and make sure that they have information about your relatives. Believe me, it's doable without Hebrew, totally. And there are a lot of websites out there. Okay, so thank you very much again for the invitation. Thank you very much for being here in person or recorded as well. If you have questions, Janice, I'm pretty sure you have kept an eye on the chat, which I couldn't. I will be more than happy to answer those questions and the many more that may come now. And if you need any advice, you have over there my email address, one of many that I have, and you're more than welcome to send an email to me.
Thank you very much, Daniel. So far, the only two questions I have in chat are both from me, so I'm going to start with them. This one's actually not about the subject of the talk, but just about MyHeritage in general, because you all were showing a lot with the MyHeritage site. I know MyHeritage has a licensing agreement with the LDS Church and is available on the Family History Library portal. Do you know how much of the MyHeritage subscription material is available that you can see there versus having a personal subscription, which obviously should give you access to the entire database?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Okay, that's what.
Yes.
Well, the last time I tried using MyHeritage at the Family History Center, it blocked me from some stuff. That's why I was asking.
The only thing that may block you, and I'm not sure about this, so I'm going to say it, is probably information coming from family trees. But for sure, records, any record that MyHeritage has in its database, it's also available through the family library, family history library, or family, yeah.
Okay.
Family
wonderful.
Search libraries.
Thank you. And then my other question, you were talking about the website for the Central Zionist Archives, and you said it is indexed, it has a search function, but it's not the names. So
it's partially indexed. They haven't indexed everything. There are some collections that they have published names, and you can search by names. The other thing will be like to see what collections they have, and as I said, they have immigration records, so you can ask them. My grandfather immigrated to the Israel around this year, and of course that the more accurate the information is, the better for them to search. It will take them some time, probably a couple of months, so be patient, and then they will perform the search. But some collections are indexed over there by name.
Okay. Well, does the index have other information you can search on, or is it only names that are indexed?
You can search only by names.
Okay.
You may find other information after you go into the record.
Oh, of course.
Yes, but the index is mostly names.
Okay, thank you. Well, and those are the only questions that came up while you were talking. So if people have other questions, we can take them now. You can type them in chat, or you can raise your hand with the reaction function so that I know you want to ask a question. So
And I'm
Questions do we
seeing
have for
that
Daniel?
I'm seeing that some people wrote in the chat the URLs. So thank you very much for helping with that part. Yeah. Yes, Judy's right. And I do know other libraries have also access to MyHeritage, but Los Angeles Public Library has access also to the MyHeritage edition.
And it's the full database.
Yes, Judy, it's the full thing.
Okay. Now, Trudy said something. She printed out the handout, but didn't get the number date page.
Maybe at the bottom that normally Trudy prints and gets the date of today in the page and didn't came out in the printer.
Because I didn't change your handout. I just uploaded it and then copied the URL. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Probably was not numbered in the pages because actually I don't think it makes much sense. Like I think it's separate pages. One is for the URLs, the other one is the words, the other one is the dictionary, if I'm correct. So
well, somebody else said maybe she was talking about the numbers in Hebrew page that was a slide.
Ah,
that in the handout?
Okay. That's a very interesting question. I remember the handout having give me 1 second. I'm looking at here. I remember having the list or the letters in red that I remember,
but not the numbers. Maybe
but not the numbers.
Because I'll be sending you the recording to put up on the.
No, it has the numbers right there. There is a
okay.
column, letters in red, and then numerical values, phonetic, and the name. So you have, for example, Lamed, L, 30, and then the symbol, the actual letter. Yes,
so
it's there.
It should be in the handout.
Yet, but when I printed it out before that, the letters came out, but not the numbers showing the dates.
Oh, if you can see them in the PDF, but it's not printing, that's more a function of your printer maybe not being able to recognize the font that he typed it in.
Probably, but it's very easy, Judy. You just, I'm sorry, Trudy, you just need to, you can write it down next to the letters. You start with 1, Aleph 1, and then you keep going until 10. Then you jump in tens until 100, and then you just are missing 2, 3, and 400.
Okay, I'll look for it again. Thank you.
Pleasure. And I can already guarantee you will not be using the last 4 letters for dates or ages. and yes, sometimes the tombstone will not have a date, but will tell you the age of the person that by the time he died. Okay, so then you will need to check if you see those higher numbers.
Okay. Any other questions for Daniel? Raise your hand. You can type something in chat.
Very quiet.
That's true. And there's another possibility of what you can do, Trudy. Somebody typed in chat. You can possibly do a screen capture of the image if you can't get it to print, and then try printing that.
And that will work as well, yes.
Hooray for computers. There are lots of ways around the way they do things.
I think that's actually the problem. There are too many ways.
Watch and see what happens.
My goodness, I see no questions. Obviously,
Pretty sure questions will come. I'm pretty sure questions will come when you start looking for your relatives and you're struggling with those websites. Just
is your
keep
email
calm.
address on your handout, Daniel?
It should be.
Okay.
And if not, it's daniel@genealogy.org.il. Let me put it here in the chat.
I'm going to beat you to it.
Yes, you did. So
Well,
now
since
you
we
have it
don't-
2 times.
Since we don't seem to have any questions, oh wait, let me see if I,
I think Neely has a question.
Oops, no, I copied.
Wait, Neely, 1 second. You need to unmute yourself. And you're publishing the URL again, Janice, for Ron and other latecomers.
Yeah, I'm
Can
gonna
I
get
talk,
the
Mrs.
handout. I have to
Neely?
go back up and copy it again.
Okay, so hi, Neely. How can I
Yeah.
help you?
Okay, my question is actually not necessarily directed to you, but to IGRA. Can we, in the future, but maybe your particular presentations in the future too, can we have the printout, the handouts, in the format of, let's say, Word, presented to us before the lecture, so we can print it out? And while you are talking, we can make notes right there. Rather than have
That one you can
go-
blame me. Normally I send it, the handout to our webmaster earlier, and I simply forgot this week.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can try to do that in the future. Absolutely. Thank you for suggesting it.
And can you do it now when you speak to whoever is in charge of it? So whoever listened today to the lecture can get it in a format of attachments to an email, rather than me. I wrote down the addresses and everything, but rather than me having to do everything one by one, if you can fix it and email us the handouts in a Word format, so I can print it out or copy.
I will only be able to send it in a Word format if I get it in a Word format from the speaker.
I
And
see.
speaking, it's more reliable to send a PDF because
Fine,
way the computers keep them more consistent.
fine,
Neely.
and nobody can change what somebody else.
That
wrote.
too.
No.
But it
I
also,
agree with you.
they transmit more reliably. Sometimes Word
Fine.
can have
Neely.
changes that depending on your computer.
I will give you a trick. And we were talking today about computers. If you Google, okay, convert PDF to Word, you will find a website that for free will allow you to upload the PDF and download it as a Word, and then you will be able to edit and change. Just please take care and behave when you do that, as the information in the handout is, of course, copyrighted. Not only my handout, but everybody else and its speakers handout.
Okay, while I have you here.
Yes.
I'm a member of MyHeritage for many years. So when I first started, I created, like, I don't know, maybe 10 different family trees, like one branch here, one there, whatever. I'm all over the place.
Mhm.
I would like